Today, the Quantum Questions podcast is on the subject of, is out-of-body experience the same as astral travel? Lucy Pattinson's guest today is Uriel Yariv. Lucy is the co-founder of the Quantum Questions. She's also been a breath coach for over 30 years, leading seminars and running a private practice. Uriel is the co-author and co-facilitator of the 4-month course Lucid Dreaming and Astral Projection that is taught in the Mahasiddha Yoga School. Uriel has a master's degree in clinical psychology and has written many articles about spirituality and psychology. He does deep spiritual practices of 5 to 6 hours daily and has spent 2 years in a silent retreat.
Welcome all the listeners today to the Quantum Questions podcast. We have a really fascinating subject with an extraordinary man, Uriel. We'll be talking about whether out-of-body experiences is the same as astral projection. This is a subject I know very little about, but would love to know more. And Uriel is quite an expert in this field, quite an extraordinary field to be an expert in. He, as you've heard, he's running a project on lucid dreaming and astral projection. I got that right, I think.
You got that right.
And he does a tremendous amount of spiritual practices every day, 5 to 6 hours, which I'm sure is part of what adds to your expertise in this area. So thank you so much for joining us today.
With pleasure.
So the first question is actually the title of the podcast. Are out-of-body experiences the same as astral projection?
Astral projection is a type, let's say the common type of out-of-body experiences. Out-of-body experiences can, let's say, vary in range, but for most people, their out-of-body experiences are astral projection. I mean, lucid dreaming is another type, and there is another type which involves a very, very high spiritual level, which is called in Tibet pova. And yes, so it's let's say the most common out-of-body experience, if we can say common for out-of-body experience. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I imagine for most people, out-of-body experiences happen by accident. They just sort of happen, and people think, oh, wonder what's going on, rather than actually consciously choosing to do that.
Yes, there are many recorded experiences, especially near-death experience. Like if you want to look at the most common out-of-body experience, it is near-death experience. By now, there is quite a lot of scientific research. You can look both at Dr. Moody and Andrew Newberg that have researched this phenomena a lot. Moody from University of Virginia. And this near-death experience, because now we have all these revival machines that bring people back to life, normally involves an astral projection, because dying, you can say, is the ultimate astral projection. And then when you are brought back to life, then such experiences are remembered, recalled, and they have a tremendous, mostly beneficial psychological effects for people that experience them. There's also people like Monroe, which has this famous Monroe Institute for researching astral projection, who was just going to rest one day and had an astral projection, and he was able to control the phenomena quite intensely. And the third category is that of spiritual practitioners who didn't intend to have an astral projection, but accumulating so much spiritual energy. If we look at Sundar Singh or Emanuel Swedenborg or others, from the intensity of their spiritual practices, they would have all sorts of astral projections and so forth. Yes.
So when you're saying like near-death experience, so you're talking about when people see the white light and
yes.
tunnel, that kind of thing?
Exactly. most people see the bright white light, the tunnel, they see relatives and so forth. Most people have very good experience. If I remember correctly, almost 90% from, at least from the data in America. And some people see dark experiences, no joke. About 10%, at least from one research that I have read, they don't see much light there. They see a lot of darkness. But mostly also people that saw light and also people that saw dark, the experience is very often creating a wonderful beneficial transformation in them.
So when they don't die, you mean, or after
when they don't die, yeah.
Don't die. So you come back, and then what are the benefits?
Well, people, when they go there and come back, they see life, human life, their life, in a much more, you can say, universally objective view. We normally see our life and what is meaningful in our life in a social view. Status, money, praise, whatever society brought us up and put the thoughts in our head, we tend to see what is meaningful on that scale. When we die, we receive the universal report. This is what had meaning in your life, and this was not meaningful or even quite wrong. And then when people come back, at least from the research, I've written an article about this some years ago, so I've researched a bit before. I'm now using the best of my memory to recall. But they tend to be much more loving, because this is like a universal conclusion, is that love matters. In front of death, love really, really matters. So they tend to be more loving, less focus on praise, less focus on money and material things, on status, more focused on human beings, more happy, more present, more evaluating what is real in life, and less confined by this social delusion, or the scale of social delusion, and much more heartful and universal in their view.
So in a way, it's like touching on what reality truly is.
Touching, let's say, a level deeper into reality. There is more. The astral projection and this near-death experience is a very big step from the physical world, but according to the spiritual traditions, there is more steps before the reality.
Well, hopefully we don't have to go that far, Uriel.
Yes. Yes.
Near-death experience, and I imagine what you're doing is trying to recreate that. Well, not trying. You are actually, I think, consciously while you're very much alive.
Yes, exactly. This is what we do, and this is also what we teach our students, is to have lucid dreams, which is normally easier than doing astral projection. And most of our students that practice, we've been doing it for several years with all sorts of formats, they have lucid dreams. And then once you have that quite several times, you gain confidence, and you can have also first partial astral projections and then full astral projections. And that indeed, it gives you a similar gift. Yeah, you come back and you say, I knew it. I knew I'm not this body. Hallelujah. It's such a tremendous joy to discover that, and to discover that it will. And if it happens just once or twice, you're like, okay, maybe it was hallucinating. But if you're able to do it systematically, dozens of times, why not? Hundreds of times, the entire view, the entire perspective is shifted, you know? It is like you're driving a car, the body being the car, and you only see yourself with the car. And when the car is gone, the body is gone, you're dreaming and you're unconscious. And still you dream of the car. And then when you're able to come out of the car and you realize, if this car gets smashed, if this car gets destroyed, I'm still me. without a doubt. It's not a book telling you that. It's not belief. It's none of that. You have the direct experience in the car, out of the car, in the car, out of the car, many, many times. And that gives such a relief, such a joy, because that person that sits in the car, so Luis and Uriel, that sits in this body, is far more free, far more happy, far lighter, has much less petty needs, and much more glory and love than the car. So indeed, if you continue to do these astral projections systematically many, many times, you discover something similar to what people discover with near-death experience. And with that comes a tremendous love, a tremendous detachment and enthusiasm and inner freedom.
Wow, it sounds so beautiful, Uriel.
Mm.
I'm just curious, when you say, you know, when you're not in your physical body, you're very much me. Are you talking about the soul? What is it that's actually doing the lucid dreaming, the traveling? Is it the eternal soul? Is it something personal?
It is let's do it step by step. So in the world of yoga, which I come from, yoga and tantra yoga, there is this system which speaks of three bodies, you can say. You have the physical body with the energy around it, that you leave on the ground when you go out of the body. And then you have the body of the mind, Manu Maya Kosha, as it is called, which is all our thoughts. They are there, corresponding constantly with the brain, but also having an independent energetical structure. And then behind that, we can say, just to put it, because it's not the subject now, to put it very simple, behind that we have the soul. So you can say that the soul and the mind comes out of the car and returns to the car. And in very, very high practices, the soul comes out of the driver, if you may. But it's like a babushka, you know, these Russian dolls.
Oh, yeah.
You know, if you put one in another. So we can take, for the sake of discussion, it's even a bit more complicated than that, but we can take three. We can take the body as the outer, the mind as the inner, and the soul and spirit as the innermost, just to keep it extremely simple, because it will get more complicated otherwise. Yes, but also the soul and also the mind come out, also when we die and also when we do astral projection.
So I imagine this all has to be done in a very safe way, because I could see many things that could go wrong with this. I mean, you could potentially even go insane, couldn't you? If you do it wrong. I mean...
Yes, it is not a beginner's practice. Yeah, we don't encourage people who just came out and drinking and smoking and having a lot of negative emotions as a background of their being. You go an astral projection and you will see the hell that you are in every day. That is anyway your background, but you will see it. Which, you know, if you have a near-death experience, it's a good thing to see, because it might be a wake-up call. But it is the whole practice of astral projection should be done after a necessary preparation, in which we purify ourselves from vices, from negative emotions. We need to be able to control our anger, our fear, our confusions, our doubts, our laziness, our pride, our dishonesty, to a degree. Yeah, you don't need to be a Maha
that would
Baba
eliminate
master.
most people if...
Yeah, exactly. But at least to have a good bunch, 6 months, 1 year of a good daily practice, and maybe good psychotherapy and so forth, and to be able, I mean, what would be the entrance line is if you know you don't easily go into emotional states that make you freak out, because it can amplify there, and I would not recommend it. If depression or fear or anxiety make you freak out frequently, I would not recommend at all astral projection. Do some listening to the breath meditation, do some hatha yoga, some qigong, much better at that stage. Once, okay, you see the last 6 months, did I freak out? Almost never. Good. Then you can do astral projection.
Well, that's really interesting. Yeah. So yes, so you reckon 6 months of daily practice, and yeah, that's good. It's great. I wonder when when you're ready though, because obviously everyone's got a different starting point, haven't they?
Yeah. This is what I tried to say before, is when you look back at the last few months and you see that you don't freak out from negative emotions. You feel sad, but you're on top of the sadness. You feel afraid, but you're on top of the fear. You feel angry, but you're on top of the anger. Fine, you can do astral projection. If your emotions are still riding you and you lose control as a result of your emotion frequently, it's not yet time.
So
But if you are having intense emotions and you can stay on top of them, then it's fine.
how do you select people to come on your course? Do you actually individually assess people?
Well, we start the course slowly with lucid dreaming. So they have a 6 months, they have a 6 weeks preparation with lucid dreaming. And most of them, they are older students. I mean, in the group now, we have maybe 85 students. Most of them have been either with us or with another spiritual school for several years. And then the newcomers, they have 6 weeks preparation in which they practice with us the lucid dreaming, which is much more safe. I mean, lucid dreaming is far more safe and much easier. That's also why we start with it. And then they have another 3 weeks preparation. So we give them about 2 months to prepare. And then whatever comes out in the lucid dreaming, we guide them. And if they survive that much and that far, and they've done the daily practice as we recommended it, and nothing came out, they're fine. Yeah, that's the normal criteria that we take. So it's like a little buffer there. Normally, people who are very agitated and so forth, they will get bored with the course. They won't practice. They will fall out before the astral projection. And also the astral projection, we teach first partial astral projection, and then later the full one. So it's a gradual process.
So this has, so you're teaching at many different levels. Is that what you do? Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
Really interesting. I mean, I'm personally like earth, fire, water. I think air is my least tangible aspect of myself. So for me, it seems very hard to imagine doing lucid dreaming. I mean, I hardly dream at all, for example. But I guess, do you like open up the air element, if that's the right way of phrasing that?
I don't have air on my map, so we are brothers and sisters on this. Water and fire, almost everything, a bit of earth. We open people to this dimension. You first learn how to remember your dreams, and then you learn how to have flashes of lucidity, after which you would probably lose your lucidity again. And after we taught them that, we teach them how to surf and how to be able to stay lucid a long time in a dream. And then, which is the main thing, you can do amazing things in dreams. You can heal traumas, you can ask your subconscious, you can ask spiritual teachers questions, you can get to know the astral world. So we take it gradually. Many people, they don't remember their dreams, but in this course, in the course of the first 6 weeks, basically everybody that practices will have lucid dreams. Yes.
I find this so exciting and fascinating. I had a question about the safety element, because I've heard that when you go under anesthetic in an operation, sometimes negative entities can go into the body. And I've often felt that that is actually true. I don't know what your thought is, and also whether, like, if you're out of your body, whether things can creep in.
Yes. Yes, I can share from my experience that in the first few astral projections, this is what I would think, and I would just freak out. Yeah, I'd go out, and then my body, maybe somebody is tickling my body, somebody is touching my body. It wasn't like something will possess it, and I would just jump straight back because of the fear. Indeed, also in sleep, also in anesthetics, I never thought about this in detail, but logically I would say, yes, there is that risk. And what I would recommend, and I also recommend to my students, is every time before you go to sleep, and for sure 10 times more if you have an operation and you need to pass such a procedure, to create a subtle protection around it. So if you're a believer, you would use whatever your faith is, Christian or Buddhist or whatever, evoke angels or guardians, Buddha guardians or whatever. And if not much of a believer, you can just evoke an intense sphere of bright white light around the bed where you will be sleeping or having the operation. If you do that for about 10-15 minutes, it's pretty safe. I mean, we have a boy in the ashram who's having nightmares since he is born. And then we gave him this protection method. He's a boy, he's 7 years old. You tell him, okay, you evoke the angels, no problem. Mommy said to evoke, I evoke. And that's it. How long has it been, Ryan? 3 months? Yeah. 3 months, and he doesn't have nightmares anymore. He would wake up crying and afraid and so forth. It's just 2 minutes before going to sleep. I do it every night for, I don't know, 20 years. So if you create this protection and you orient yourself and you open, then you can protect yourself. It's a very good point. I would recommend to everyone before going to sleep, and for sure before operation, to do these things, because yeah, it's safer.
Yeah, I started doing that when I had breathwork clients, sort of bring sort of spiritual energy into the session, and everything felt much safer, I think more powerful. So I can understand that that's the right approach. I think a lot of out-of-body experiences can happen when people are actually going through great trauma, can't they? Like, I think sexual abuse is an example, and people just leave their body to escape really unpleasant situations. And I guess that works, does it? I mean, I know sometimes there's almost no choice in that.
Yes. Well,
if you were like people right now, I mean, hopefully there aren't too many listeners going through this, but someone right now that maybe is going through really traumatic experiences and they just feel they have to leave their body, what would you say?
Yes, I would look at the mechanism behind it. You see, astral projection can happen. One of the ways to attain astral projection is through a combination of an intense emotional state, good or bad, and a certain detachment and lucidity. So the more intense the emotion, intense happiness for some, people would attain it through intense fasting, like Sundar Singh and the biblical prophets, yeah? Intense fasting. And then through the intense agony and a certain relaxation and detachment from the body, they would receive their visions. They would go in the astral world, ask some guide there, and come back with a prophecy, yeah? So any kind of intense emotion, and unfortunately in some people's cases, it is a trauma, an assault, violence, sexual trauma, but that creates an immense agitation, an immense energizing, negative energizing of the astral body. And then if that is accompanied with a certain detachment, with a certain willingness to let go, and with a certain awareness, a vigilance, then astral projection can occur. And it is, I mean, if people had these states in an unfortunate matters, nevertheless, it is important to extract and to understand what happened there. And then why not? You can do the same thing by creating an energetical intensity through meditation, through yoga, through loving intensely someone you love, through very intense tantric lovemaking, through euphoric emotions, through a great spiritual effort that would create the intensity, and then you can repeat the experience in a positive way. And if you do it systematically, it's extremely healing. I mean, one of the great benefits of astral projection and lucid dreaming is the profound healing of of the heart, of the soul, of the emotional system.
And how is that healing taking place? Is it just because you've risen to a higher level and there's more light and it kind of just happens because you've gone into that space?
It happens for a few reasons. One, you disidentify. When you disidentify with the gross parts of yourself, that is the body and whatever, the social identity, your story here in this world and so forth, and you connect to something which is far deeper, much greater in time, much more real and solid, actually, it is like you said, you draw power from a far more inner part inside of you, a luminous part inside of you. And then as you go in the lucid dreams or in the astral travels, you can go. A friend of mine, he went to the hospital. He had an ear infection. He had some tickets for a show and an ear infection. So he became lucid in the dream and he went to a hospital and they healed him and he woke up. All the pus from his ear infection was on the pillow, but he was healed. He went to the hospital. I'll save you all the details, but there was like a special healer there, lifted him off from the ground and he was healed. Yeah, so you can, if you have enough control over these experiences, you can just decide, okay, this light over there, I will go there and heal. And then you can enter and fuse with a certain body of light. And then you let those traumas rise and they are healed, they dissolve inside that light. Or you pray there. When you pray in the astral world for people who have faith, you can be helped much, much more than here. So you leave your body here, you go there, and then you meditate and pray. And you pray, please heal me. Or you meditate on a healing. And then the efficiency of the healing is far greater, far greater. I remember when I would go on retreats, I would go on 1 month, 40-day retreats, and just alone in a hut in the forest, and all sorts of things rise, you can imagine. Grew up in Israel with a lot of tension and so forth. And a lot of things would rise, and that would be my savior. I know I would have my time in the day, and then if I was able to go out and just be out of the body a little bit, I'll be fine. I'll come back and I'm fine. Even if I just had a glimpse, even if I was just out for 5 minutes or for 10 minutes, it would regenerate my emotional system. And the next day something else would rise, but it would be a constant refreshment. I would just feel how everything is aligned with this going in, coming back.
Yeah. I can imagine. What's been your biggest surprise in the astral plane? Something you really weren't expecting, maybe?
That's a good question. Now I pause for a moment. Let's see. I don't have an answer. I can't think of what was it that surprised me. I guess this sense of relief. I mean, because I read the scriptures and I believed that I am not this body. I believed. But to have the direct experience and to see what it means, that was the biggest surprise. I mean, it's still a work in progress to accept that truly I'm not this body. That when somebody would cut off my head now, I would still exist. Not here. I would not have any connection to this earth. But I would still exist. And what I am, is of a different form, is of a more fluid form than this body. And it is still, I don't know how, it's 20 years now in progress. And I can say, yes, this actually. So I do have an answer. This is what surprises me. And it constantly surprises me because when I live my day-to-day life, I feel I become like a bull again, like an ox again. And I'm like, I'm just this body. I wake up in the morning, go and brush my teeth. I'm like an ox. And then in time, as I do my spiritual practice throughout the day, then I get, oh yes, this is who I am. I'm much more free. Oh, I have this bill, or I have this problem. Yeah, but I know I'm something much greater than this. This life is just a tiny little episode in what I am. And even if I can't remember what was before and I can't really know what would happen after, I'm still sure that there is a before and after this life. Yeah, so this is the most surprising.
Yeah, so in some ways it takes the fear out of life, because you're entering this eternal dimension in a way, aren't you?
Yes, yes, it reduces the fear. It reduces the fear because this process of disidentification is not absolute. It is more like a range. A part of me is quite identified with this body and it is scared. And then a part of me is less and less identified. And it oscillates throughout the day. In deep meditation or in astral projection or in lucid dreams, I'm much, much less identified with the body. But even in astral projection, sometimes I get scared and I return to the body. My poor body, are you okay? I was away. So there is, it's not a 0-1. It's not an absolute, I am this body or I am not this body. It's more like a complex process of identification, which has many nuances. And where this identification is not, indeed, fear is almost completely gone. Yes.
So, Uriel, if someone wanted to join one of your courses, is it open to anybody? I mean, could our listeners join it if they wanted? And I assume it's online because you're in Thailand. So
yeah, the courses are online. Yeah, if they are in Thailand, they are welcome to come. We have a big ashram in the nature here. Yes, but the courses, almost all our students are online. Yeah, they can join Tantra Yoga Thailand.
Do you want to give sorry, what was the link, Uriel?
So Tantra Yoga Thailand. This is the website. And then you have Mahasiddha Yoga on YouTube. We have, I don't know, 200-300 YouTubes if you want to just hear more. And then Mahasiddha Yoga also on Facebook. This is
wonderful. And we'll put that link on the description as well. So also what I wanted to know is, for people that may not want to do your particular course, what is something people could begin with on a daily basis to open up this world?
Yes.
They could do it at home on their own, or
yeah, so what I would recommend is for people that want to start with something, start with Yoga Nidra. So you can find, I guess there's probably also on YouTube. Yoga Nidra is methods of relaxation of the body. And after the body enters a deep relaxation, sleep-like relaxation, but you don't fall asleep, there are all sorts of methods, visualization, expansions, and so forth. And then you get a taste of the astral world and of your astral body, but you have full awareness of your own physical body. So this is very safe. It is like a school for scuba diving, where you scuba dive in the pool. It's fine. Nothing can happen.
Corpse pose. Is that the corpse pose it's called?
Yes. Corpse pose, Shavasana. You basically lie down on your back, but it's good. It's good to go to a yoga teacher, or you can go to our regular Tantra class or yoga class and practice over there. And yeah, or you find on YouTube. So you lie down in the corpse pose and do these Yoga Nidra techniques, and this will give you confidence, and it's extremely regenerating and healing and so forth. Yes.
Interesting, interesting. I wasn't expecting you to say that, actually.
Yeah.
Well, listen, thank you so much. It's been really extraordinary. I'm definitely going to read more about your courses, and amazing that you offer it. Such extraordinary experience. And I think there are very few people that I would trust to lead that, but I have tremendous trust in your experience, and your personal practice as well is really important to this. So you're in integrity, and you do, as I said at the beginning, 5 to 6 hours a day of spiritual practices. So you're setting up this high bar So very beautiful. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much, Louise. Yes.
Maybe we'll have you back for another discussion. It's been a great pleasure.
Yes, with love.
If you'd like to know more about the quantum questions, please go to the website www.thequantumquestions.com.